Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another AITA story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Rewarding My Daughter After Her Car Accident? I'm guessing there's more to this. My male 60 daughter, female 22, lives with me while she goes to college and works a part-time job. Her main mode of transportation is/was a car that's in my name and paid for by me, but she's the only one who uses it since I have a truck that I use. This past week, while on her way home from her job, she got into an accident while making a turn at an intersection with a sharp corner around some trees that's difficult to see if there's oncoming traffic. That was a difficult sentence. The way she describes it, she believed to be in the clear and started slowly inching forward at the same time a van came speeding around the corner. Between the angle of the hit and how fast the van was going, nearly the entire front of my car was taken off, though fortunately no one was injured. She called me sobbing and panicking. She could barely speak while she told me what happened. I rushed over to pick her up and we got a tow truck sorted for the car, which is definitely totaled. And she was still shaking from the whole ordeal and profusely apologizing. She's been in a couple car accidents before as a kid, but this was the first where she was behind the wheel. I know she wasn't being reckless. The intersection absolutely sucks. The accident was just that, an accident. The car is what it is, but I'm just glad my daughter was all right. Since she was still shaken up, I took her to dinner at one of her favorite restaurants that we don't go to very often to help her calm down, which did help her mood quite a lot. I assumed everything was fine until I got a call from her mother, my ex-wife, berating me for essentially rewarding our daughter for wrecking the car. She was always the type to insist that giving someone treats after bad behavior would encourage said behavior, which I understand to an extent for little kids, but my ex-wife ended the call by basically saying I've just encouraged her to damage any future car she's driving to go to a nice dinner. I don't believe my daughter is the type to do that. She was already kind of a nervous driver to begin with, and this situation has likely only escalated that. But when I met up with some buddies, they agreed my ex-wife has a point, and I probably shouldn't have taken her to dinner right after the accident since she was still technically at fault and should have been more careful. This now has me doubting my actions. So, am I the astronaut? A couple of the top comments from this are, not the asshole, your ex sounds insufferable. Who is going to wreck their car repeatedly to get a free dinner? OP's response, she is indeed my ex for a reason. So ex-wife is giving the daughter so little mental credit here, saying that she doesn't have the capacity to understand that the dinner isn't a reward for wrecking her car. The direct link to rewarding bad behavior, yes, little kids and dogs. But at some point, you have to give someone credit enough to think that they have the mental capacity to understand that taking her to dinner was to get her to calm down, not to reward her for wrecking the car. It's a stretch. And the fact that his friends agreed, some of his friends agreed, that concerns me. What? I do not understand. She's on the way home. She's like, can I drive? Because I'd really like to wreck your truck and get dessert. Also, funny quick story. I had just turned 16. Didn't have my own car yet. I had my license. My parents had a brand new Dodge Stratus, which was, I don't even know that there's many on the road now, but they had this brand new Dodge Stratus that, my mom was very proud of it and they were letting me drive it. It's a sedan. And I went and picked up a couple of buddies and we were driving around, and the road that we were on some back roads. It was a twisty road. And what happened was that the road turned faster than the car. And I ended up sailing off of the road on the opposite side of the road into a 15-foot ditch. I called it a ravine because at 15 feet, it felt like it. And this was in the middle of the night in February. So it was freezing freaking cold. I'm getting to the good part. Hang in there with me. The nearest house was over a mile down the road in the freezing cold. So we walk down to this house, knock on the door. Luckily, the guy offers to give us a ride back to my parents' house, which is, a few miles away. But he had this little pickup, like a Chevy S10. So one of my buddies got to sit in the truck and two of us had to sit in the back of the truck in sub-freezing temperatures. By the time we get to my parents' house, snot is frozen to my face. And I walk in and I'm panicked and I tell them what happened. And of course, they're immediately flipping out. And of course, like a teenager, I'm like, by the way, I'm okay. And they're like, well, clearly we can see that you're okay. We're worried about the car. Where is the car? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. The road turned faster than the car, whatever. So I'm riding with my dad in his truck as we go to find the car that I've run off the road. It is the middle of the night. Keep that in mind. And it was a 15-foot ditch. Keep that in mind too. So as we're winding through these roads, we come across the last turn and you can't even see the vehicle. You can only see the glow of the emergency lights on the trees around it. And it's like a UFO, wah, wah. And I very distinctly remember what my father said. He turned to me and he goes, "You gotta be shitting me, Dustin." That's my dad. He is a man of few words, but when he speaks, he means it. "You gotta be shitting me." It stuck with me forever. Forever. Luckily, some guys in these off-roady Jeeps showed up and they hooked up some tow straps to their hitches, and one of their hitches broke off, flew through the air, nailed their car in the roof, and did more damage than I had done putting it into the 15-foot ravine. So, moral of the story is don't do that, I guess. Sometimes the road turns faster than cars. And that's when I discovered the importance of all-wheel drive. Why I started driving Subarus. The road don't turn faster than the car no more. All-wheel drive. That was a big tangent there. OP's not the asshole at all for doing this, in my book at least. I mean, we can pull up the scale to talk about it, but could he have done this differently? Should he have done this differently? Should he definitely not have done this? Or is he a terrible person? I don't know that any of this registers for me. He was doing what he thought was right at the time, which was really just trying to get her to calm down. And what were his options when trying to get her to calm down? It was either just take her home and sit there and wait and talk about it. This was a distraction. He was trying to take her mind off of it to get her to calm down. So if it wasn't this, it would have been something different, and it would have been used against him in the exact same way. So I don't think there's anything he could have done differently here. Not the asshole in my book at all. The ex sounds like it doesn't matter what he would have done. It would have been the wrong thing. And I'm sure we can all relate to that in some form or fashion.